Namaste and welcome to Tridevi Chamunda Mandir in Denver, Colorado. This is Yamajit, and thank you for joining me this Sunday afternoon for day 7 of fall Navaratri, the 9 nights of Mother Divine. Tonight, or I should say today, we're going to be honoring 2 of the Mahavidyas, 2 of the great wisdom goddesses. So we're first going to do a puja broadcast for Ma Matangi, and then I'm going to sign off for about 15 minutes, and then I'm going to come back on and do a second puja to Ma Kamla. And those are Mahavidyas 9 and 10. Tomorrow I'll be doing the Victory Day celebration with a fire puja to all 10 Mahavidya goddesses. That will be at Shiva Sai Mandir at 1391 South Pennsylvania. Festivities will get started around 6 p.m. I suggest going onto the Shiva Mandir .org website for more information and also to gain access to their Zoom broadcast. And then for everybody who's going to be missing, who might end up missing Monday, on Tuesday at 7 p.m., I'm going to do that same puja to the 10 Mahavidyas. That'll be day 10 of Navaratri, and that's really a customary day to do Victory Day celebrations. So that's what will be happening today and the next 2 days. So again, welcome and namaste. I want to say namaste to Kim, who just joined us, and anybody else who's joining us right now. Please feel free to say a quick hello using the chat function on the bottom of your screen. So let's do a short satsang on Matangi. Again, this is an excerpt from my upcoming book on the Mahavidyas. Matangi, Ma Kali in the form of Sarasvati. And namaste to Ali, who just joined us. Matangi is the tantric form of Sarasvati, and Sarasvati means she who flows continuously. And seeing that she's the Shakti of Lord Brahma, the creator, who uttered the first syllable Om to bring the universe into being. And cosmologists today have come to the understanding that the universe is continuously expanding. And I think that's a very appropriate title for this goddess, she who flows continuously. While Sarasvati's energies are directed toward learning, academics, language, and the arts, Matangi's energies are also focused inward on acquiring deeper wisdom. Matangi is therefore the patron of inner thought and speech. She guides her devotee to the vibratory syllable Om, the primordial sound of universal creation and expansion. Sarasvati is the consort Shakti of Lord Brahma, as I mentioned before. So again, the utterance of that mantra, Om, bringing the universe into being, this is a process very analogous to the Big Bang. In legend, she's considered the daughter of the ancient sage Rishi Matanga, hence her name manifesting after the Mahavidya Bhaglamukhi. Matangi is closely associated with the Purnama, the full moon, regarded by many as the night of intoxication. She's believed to grant control over forms of speech, including poetry and music, in addition to knowledge, teaching, and learning. Every school I ever taught at or visited in India and Nepal had an image, shrine, and or temple dedicated to Ma Sarasvati located somewhere on its grounds. She's also associated with the throat chakra and thus communication and self-expression. Matangi is depicted as having 3 eyes, a dark blue or dark green complexion. She's extremely beautiful and sensuous, dresses in red, with large breasts, a slender waist, and long flowing locks. She holds a goad, a noose, a sword, a skull, and often a stringed instrument known as a veena, which represents the voice, speech, and the arts. It should be noted that these items differ from region to region. On her shoulder is perched a small green parrot, representing the power of language. So I'm going to show you 2 different forms of Matangi. There's this first one here, which I basically got because this was the only painting I could find. And so we see her on a golden throne. The asana or position, the seated position she has, is one associated with victory over over falsehood and ignorance. We see that she's holding the elephant goad and the coil of rope for binding ignorance. She's holding the sword, and then she's also holding this particular version. She's holding a buckler or a small shield for protection, not her own protection. The divine sword of the Great Mother is considered an invincible weapon. So if you have Kali or Devi's sword, you can't lose. So that shield is for the protection of her children. I'll show you another illustration of Matangi, and this one's closer to the one that I just described. So here's that dark green skin color. We see the sword. We see, the veena. This is a musical instrument kind of similar to the sitar. It's of the lute family. She's holding a skull. She's displaying the gesture of fear not. That would be analogous to the shield that we saw in the painting. Again, there's that seated position of victory. We see 2 green parrots accompanying her. So they're Jema Matangi. Got just a little bit more to read from the excerpt here before we begin our puja. Matangi is considered to be born as a Chandala, or an outcast. Her father is said to have been a Chandala who was raised by a Brahmin. She may have originated as a tribal non-Vedic deity. Ma Matangi is also associated with a strong libido, related to the powers of creation, the expression of which may take several forms. Unlike other Hindu deities, it is appropriate to make offerings of leftover food, such as food offerings that were part of a celebratory family meal, as a gesture of gratitude. On the stage of spiritual evolution, Matangi represents creative insights and inspirations which result from our practices of devotion. And this would include the desire to teach others, and therefore her devotees channel her energies through the arts, through writing, through music, through speech, and through teaching. Jema Matangi. Jema Matangi. Jema Matangi Devi. And Namaste to Bryce, who just joined us. So I invite you to find a comfortable seated position. Again, if you're just joining us, we're going to do a short puja to Ma Matangi. I'm going to sign off for about 15 minutes. And let me move this light. I'm going to sign off for about 15 minutes, sign back on, and then we'll do a puja and satsang to our final Mahavidya goddess, Ma Kamla. So sit comfortably, let your back be straight. I invite you to close your eyes for a moment and just take some deep breaths. grounding, centering, preparing for our devotion. Breathing out those concerns of past and future, bringing your awareness to the present moment. Let each in-breath bring in deeper relaxation and reinforcing that desire to be in the present right now. And then slowly bringing the palms of your hands together at your heart center. We'll begin our practice by chanting Matangi's seed syllable 3 times, and that will be the syllable Aing. And then, after we do the initial puja, the invocations and offerings, I'll be sharing with you a very important prayer to the Divine Mother called the Atha Tantroktam Devi Shuktam. I'll be sharing that with you both in Sanskrit and in English for our meditation. So let's take a deep inhale for Aing. Second inhale, Aing. One more inhalation. Inhale and exhale, slowly opening your eyes. Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvabhistam Gatopiva Yashmare Pandarikaksham Sabhyabhyanta Sushi Om Shuklam Bharanam Vishnam Shivanam Jatubhijam Prasnavananam Dayat Sava Vignopasantaye Jai Ganesha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Devo Maheshvara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Sri Guru Ve Namah. Jai Guru. Om Trayambakam Yajamaye Sagandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Bandhanan Machur Mukshiyamamritat. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Jayanti Mangalakali Bhadrakali Kapalani Durgashama Shivadatri Svasvada Namostute Jayatvam Devi Chamunde Jaya Bhutitaharani Jaya Sarvagate Devi Kalaratri Namostute Jai Ma Kali. Om Aing Kamla Devi Namah. Om Aing Kamla Devi Namah. Om Aing Kamla Devi Namah. Jai Ma Kamla. Om Aing Kamla Devi Namah. 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 Jima Kamla Devi. Atha Tantroktam Devi Shuktam. Namo Devye Mahadevye Shavaye Satatam Nama. Nama Prikratye Badraye Nyata Pranata Smatam. Rudraye Namo Nitye Goye Datraye Namo Nama. Josnaye Chandrupinaye Sukaye Satatam Nama. Kalyane Pranavridye Siddhikurmo Namo Nama. Netraye Bhubratam Lakshmiye Sarvanye Te Namo Nama. Durgaye Durgapadaye Sare Sarvo Karanye. Kyatye Ateva Prishnaye Dumraye Satatam Nama. Atasomyate Rudraye Natastasye Namo Nama. Namo Jagat Pratishtaye Devye Kritye Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vitsnumayati Shabdita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Chaitanya Vidyate Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddherupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Nidra Rupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Kshudarupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Chayarupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shaktirupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Trishnarupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Kshante Rupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Jate Rupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Laja Rupina Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Nama. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shante Rupina Samstita Namastasye 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 namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddharupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi Rupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vritte Rupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Smrite Rupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya Rupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Tushte Rupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matarupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Brante Rupina Samstita. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Indyanabadishtatri Bhutanam Shakali Suya. Bhuteshu Satatam Tasye Vittedevye namo namah. Chitte Rupina Ya Kritsname Tadvapyastita Jagat. Namastasye, namastasye, namastasye namo namah. Jema, Jema, Jema. So I invite you now to close your eyes and breathe deeply. Or if you wish, just gaze upon my matangi with a relaxed gaze and let the words of our Stotram guide your consciousness to where it needs to be at this moment. I invite you to think of whatever issue you're working on personally through this Navaratri season, and yet these energies guide you. We bow to the goddess, to the great goddess, to the energy of infinite goodness. We prostrate with hands together to nature, to the excellent one. We bow to the reliever of sufferings, to the eternal, to the embodiment of rays of light. We continually bow to the goddess who manifests light, to the form of devotion, to happiness. We bow to the welfare to those who bow, to change to perfection the disillusion, to wealth, which sustains earth, to the wife of consciousness we bow. We bow to the one who removes difficulties, who removes beyond all difficulties, to the essence. We continually bow to the doer of all, to the perception, and to the unknowable one. We bow to the extremely beautiful and to the extremely fierce. We bow, we bow. We bow to the establisher of the perceivable world, and to who, the mundane existence, we bow, we bow. We bow to that divine goddess in all existence, who is addressed as the perceivable form of consciousness which pervades all. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to that divine goddess who resides all throughout consciousness and is known as reflections of the mind. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. To the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of intelligence. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess who resides in the form of sleep. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess who resides in the form of hunger. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of appearances. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of energy. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of desire. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of patient forgiveness. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of all living beings. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of humility. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of peace. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of faith. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of beauty, enhanced by love. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of true wealth. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of change. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess of all existence who resides in the form of recollection or memory. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of compassion. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of satisfaction. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of mother. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. We bow to the divine goddess in all existence who resides in the form of confusion. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, reverence. Presiding over the senses of all beings and pervading all existence, to the omnipresent goddess who individualizes creation, reverence, reverence. To the form of consciousness, she distinguishes the individual phenomena of the perceivable universe. Reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence to her, reverence, 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 reverence. Om Ang Namah, 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 Om Ang Namah. 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 Jema. 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 I invite you now to take a deep and clearing breath, letting go of the meditation, becoming aware of your surroundings again. Bringing the palms of your hands together slowly at your heart center. Om Tat Sat Om. Jai Ganesha, Jai Guru, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Ma Devi, Jai Ma Kali, Jai Ma Matangi Devi, Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di, Jai Mata Di. Opening your eyes if you haven't already, keeping a relaxed gaze. Namaste. Blessings always. Thank you so very much for joining me, and Jai Ma. Jai Ma. Jai Ma. So thank you so very much for joining me for the first puja of the day. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, and then I'll come back on at, let's make that 12:45, and we'll do our second and final puja to the 10th of the Mahavidyas, Ma Kamla. So thank you again, especially to Kim, to Ali, to Bryce, and to Kelly. See you in just a few minutes. Jai Ma.